Heads up, body adventurers!
Welcome to Human Bubble Podcast, where Plato shares snacks with the weekend and Schopenhauer gets lost in a Spotify playlist. In our freaky studio where cats knocking things over.
We explore the chaos of being human through art, books, music, and philosophy, like a brainy fever dream with good lightnings. Strap in, it's weird, it's wise, and it's probably cheaper than therapy.
Welcome to the egg between sentences.
Where memory isn't just recalled, it's resurrected.
This is episode 6, an excavation of José Luís Peixoto's short story, You Died on Me.
A monologue wrapped in silence, a father-shaped absence, a whisper heavier than thunder.
Yeah, and we begin with stillness, and from that stillness we speak. So, Darkster, what about the author?
Oh my god, well, the author is really trusting, you know? I mean, of course, he's the one who had this short story, so José Luis Peixoto. Before I start, I want to mention to our listeners that the books that we have mentioned in our podcast, there will be links below in the description. You can go and check them. José Luis Peixoto, a lyrical force in contemporary Portuguese literature, fuses poetic minimalism with vertical emotions. He was born in 1974 in Galvias. You know, it was a rural area, like a rural village. That echoes through much of his work, you know. Peixoto writes with an avant-garde pulse, fragmentary yet intimate, and abstract yet earthly. His process bleeds into poetry, often burning genres. Novels like Black Gaze, and Olmhar, and Piano Symmetry de Pianos. Well, our Portuguese sucks. Believe.
Yeah, it's like, of course, because you want to try to read in the Portuguese those titles, I know.
Yeah.
But the Piano Cemetery, this book is also available online, so.
We can drop a link for that too, if it's okay.
Of course.
So, these books not short stories in traditional sense, but haunting, spiraling meditations on absence, memory, and body. He's often compared with Faulkner and Saramago. As you know, they're both literarians and they have got Nobel Prizes, but Peixoto is an
they are so famous. Yeah.
Indeed. But Peixoto is unmistakably in his own cadence, like his own class, a voice from an edge of silence where language shivers.
Yes, what you said about him, like he writes with avant-garde pulse. It's something. What is what comes to my mind when I hear the name Peixoto. So yeah, this avant-garde trait, and in You Died on Me, the story which we choose for our listeners to talk about.
Yeah.
The narrator reflects on his father's death and his memory of him.
Exactly.
And this story shows how the loss of a parent shapes identity and emotional life. And we can ask, how does Peixoto explore the lasting influence of a parent through memory and absence?
Interesting.
And also we can ask, what does this suggest about the emotional inheritance between generations? So we will try to give you an answer or our point of view.
Exactly. More like a point of view. For answers, people
Okay,
have to
so
explore.
mm-hmm. Because with literature is like you the ones what said Tarkovsky, this famous director, film director.
Mm-hmm.
So one book is 1,000 books because when one person reads a book, it's a one book. But
One
when 1,000 people read a book,
thousand
it's
book.
1,000 different books.
He's like saying it as a perspective. Everybody has a different perspective, right? So if you read the
Of
same
course.
book, you'll have a different perspective. If I read the same book, I'll have a different perspective. That's what he's
Mm-hmm.
saying. I know. Let's go with the
Yeah.
overview, shall we, Nancy?
Of course, if it comes to overview and impressions actually, because there are a lot of after reading.
Exactly.
So we will share with you, dear listeners, our point of view, and of course you can drop your comment if you think differently or the
Yeah,
same.
we'd like to know your comments, your thoughts, what you think about
Mm-hmm.
our podcast and this short story.
Yeah. So
Go
my
on.
overview. Let me take you, Darkster, and you listeners, into the
Let's go.
delicate, dissolving architecture of memory. Into José Luis Peixoto's short story, You Died on Me, a haunting, fragile monologue about time, about absence, and what remains. Okay, how much we can save in memory? A
Wow.
question as light as a whisper and as heavy as eternity. Time is light, Peixoto writes, but it's also a distance, a shimmering chasm between now and then, between today and years ago.
Wow.
And in the first breath of the story, the narrator, the son, seems intensely aware of this passing, this
Exactly.
erosion, this vanishing, right?
Yeah, we both felt it when we read it, right?
Mm-hmm. So, okay,
Mm-hmm.
a form. What is the form? A form is a monologue, a soliloquy addressed to someone who cannot answer, his father, who has already died, and yet it
Yeah,
feels like a dialogue, or
exactly.
rather a secret conversation with memory itself, a memory that wears the father's face.
Um,
And this story begins with a simple observation. The day begins. A random day, the
random.
usual sky, trees, the humble pressure of nature outside the father's house, right?
Yeah.
But, but these elements crack open the past. They bring childhood rushing in like a scent on the wind. You know that feeling, right?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's because that's what memory does. It hides in the bark of trees, in the color of morning, and
Yep.
there is a tragedy and the beauty. We never quite realize the weight of moments until they dissolve. The
Mm-hmm.
tiny, ordinary seconds. Okay, mundane, even boring, they are
Mm-hmm.
in truth the gold dust of existence. Moments we do not see, let alone prize, until we lost them.
Yeah, we
Okay,
don't praise
and
those moments. Yeah.
mhm, yeah, it's what about the story is, right?
Exactly.
And Peixoto
I love
paints this with
I love the way you're
aching.
going.
There will be a quote as well, but very short
Mm-hmm.
one. Okay,
Interesting. Let's
so
go.
as I said, Peixoto paints this with aching elegance, and the view, the sound, the tree. These aren't just objects; they are feelings wearing physical forms.
Mm-hmm.
And the narrator looks at the same surroundings, but now they ache with absence. And there is a quote: "The trees you had planted." Okay,
Wow.
the trees you had planted.
Mm-hmm.
And he this narrator, the son, he says those words to the father. Yeah, they still grow, still
Yeah,
stand, but you, father, are gone. You know, like planting trees, I think it's an act of immortality, right?
maybe that's correct because like trees live longer than us, believe me, and it's like you're right, immortality.
Yeah, we can even say that trees, you know, they they carry our emotions, our soul. I
Legacy.
don't know, but I heard like they carry a human soul after death, even.
hmm
Okay,
in
so
you know
yeah,
in a lot of religions, people believe that trees do have souls. Like trees do feel, pain. They do feel that.
yeah, yeah. You know, always when I think of that, like you know, about trees, right? It comes to my mind this great novel, but also the movie, Lord of the Rings. And do you remember
Mm.
there was a scene when those trees they just rise up? You can see rise up. They moved from the place and they start fighting.
Yeah,
Uh, it was amazing. I love this
yeah.
scene, and yeah,
One of the best
always I
scenes.
have it in my mind, you know. And when you see when the trees is I don't know, in the process of dying. Of course, we have products from trees, but yeah, we don't know exactly what is hidden there.
hmm
Okay,
You know,
so hmm,
I
we
remember.
can say,
Go
hmm
ahead.
yes, no, you,
I remember, like as a kid, I used to in our schools we used to go in some parade, and we used to plant trees across the school area. It's called
mm-hmm.
afforestation. If you use trees and you use them, so you should at least plant one. And we used to plant a lot of them. It reminds me of that moment.
Okay, so you confirm my point. Like there is an active immortality, right? Trees
hmm
as a legacy,
Yeah.
trees as silent witnesses,
hmm
trees that remember what we forget. Okay.
Yeah. There
And you
might
know,
be.
in this story,
Mhm.
mhm, in the
Go on.
story, like now from the perspective of narrator, even nature has changed its costume. You like, is the sparrows still sing? Yes,
Yeah.
nomadic, restless, but
Always.
mhm, their song is not the same. And of course,
Really.
the word continues, seemingly unchanged, but in the eyes of the narrator, everything is altered. Because once someone is gone, the word doesn't truly stay the same. It
Yeah.
wears the same outfit. And okay, day by day, the cycle repeats stillness, silence, a house, a garden, a coast. That's how people live. Not with fireworks, but with the slow fading of everything they touched. And yeah. Here comes the final thing. People spend their lives gathering things, walls, furniture, stories. They build houses,
hmm
accumulate meaning. But when they vanish, but when they vanish, you know, the work they crafted becomes hollow, a museum of absence. So what's left? Memory,
Nothing.
a ghostly mirror, a monologue disguised as a conversation, or a tree still growing? What is your point of view, Darkstar? What do you think?
First of all, these lines, last lines when you said I mean, here comes the final thing. People spend their lives gathering things, walls, furniture, stories. It's like we all are alive. We run after everything, and we build a house, we create relations, we create families and everything. But We earn money, but when it's the time to go, we leave everything behind, even our very own body. We leave everything behind.
Yes, everything, like, here on earth, everything is temporary. We
Yeah.
don't own things.
Mm-hmm. Now to my
We just think
impression.
like we have them.
Yeah, exactly. Now
And
to
we are
my
so wealthy. Yeah.
yes.
But we are not. We are not. Okay.
I just have this thing in my mind for the people who think of themselves so highly, or to the racist people that they do racism about color or caste, religion. I just want to say one thing to them. Everything stays here. This body, what you have, what you own, everything stays here. Everything. So you shouldn't be, adamant to be narcissist, right? Be grateful and be humble to people.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
anyways, I know it was a bit out of topic, but yes, I just felt like saying it, and I did.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
What do you feel about this story? What do you feel about it?
To my
What is your
overview,
interpretation? Yeah.
yeah, I have an interesting interpretation. First of all, I would like to say you've captured the heart of "You Died on Me" or "Mereste Me"
Oh,
in
thank you.
Portuguese. Yeah, I really appreciate that. So it's perfectly like it's like you're living in the pages. The story hits me like a quiet wave, washing over me with a deep, heavy ache. It's not loud grief,
Mm-hmm.
It's like a kind of that sneaks up when you're starting something ordinary, like a tree or locked door, and suddenly you're drowning in memories. You just don't realize it. So Peixoto makes everything feel sacred, like a son walking in the muddy paths of it with his dad picking oranges or watching water run through the vegetable patch. Those memories felt so small back then, but now they're everything. It is what you just talked about in your overview. Like, we don't cherish the memories when we are living in the moment. Very few people realizes that the memories they're living in the present will be so precious in the future when and if the person is not with them.
Yeah.
Reading Marissa May
Exactly.
got yep, right, Nasi? Reading
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I think. Mm-hmm.
Reading Marissa May got personal for me, to be honest. It made me think about the times I didn't say enough to the people I love. Little things, like thanking them for small stuff they do for me. It's like the son carrying the same regret. That cemetery scene, do you remember the scene? The cemetery scene
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah.
when he walked through those graves and he knew where his dad was. He looked straight there, where he stands by his dad's gravestone and says, "I can do it. Dad, I will build as you built."
Like a
Man, that
promise,
breaks
right?
down.
Yeah.
Exactly. That literally breaks my heart into pieces. It shatters it, believe me. It's like he's trying to hold onto his dad's strength, but he's stuck in the pain knowing he cannot say it on his face anymore because his dad's not there anymore. Passed away.
Of course. Yeah.
The way he remembers his dad's voice, that faint tremor like he was sick, talking about his tumor-ridden belly, It kills me. Thinking about that son laid for him, saying it'll be okay. It wasn't locking up in the house, the peach trees, the lemon tree, the empty hen house. It's like he's stealing away the whole life he didn't appreciate enough. Now, a quote for Portuguese listeners. Apologies if I suck, which I do.
Go ahead.
So damos valor quanto permados means like we only value things when we lose them. It's like we don't value things when we have them. The sun's reliving every moment. The yellow school bag, the van rides, but now only sees how much they meant. This story is about the ache of wishing you'd held those moments tighter.
Yeah, and if I can say in a one sentence, what about the story is about is about this this situation when you always say it's too late, it's too late, and now what left, regret, memories, yes, of course, but it's
Exactly.
the story. Okay, what's now? Like you realize in the one moment, it's like
It's like,
illumination.
yeah.
You suddenly you wake up and wow, where is the word I knew? Where is the word I used to be?
So damos valor conto permados. Yep,
Yeah,
that
per
says it
demos,
all.
yeah, something like that. My God, this Portuguese! I love that language. I wanna learn this language. Really, it's beautiful. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we have English translation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
thankfully very much.
of course. I said like it's a story about memories, of course, and okay, it's too late. Like you can say this sentence, it's about this, but also it's an important story about communication and silence between parents and children, right?
Indeed. Yep, that's correct. The silence and the difference between parents and children, because they're not able to get close to each other as they're supposed to be. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's the parents' fault, sometimes it's child's fault. They're not that open. Yeah, it's just really important. So I want to take on this first, and I'll ask your opinion on it. So, like you're so right about the unspoken stuff in families, and Marista
Mm-hmm.
May really dives at home. It's not just a grief; it's all the
No, it's
things
not
that
grief.
son.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, not just a grief. It's all the things that son never said to his dad. That's this. Moments where where he talks about lying to his dad about his illness, saying, "Everything's fine, Dad," when he knew it wasn't. At the hospital scene, I still remember we both were so emotional when we read the story, right? About this hospital
Okay,
scene.
but separately, yeah, we read it separately, of course, not
Yeah,
together.
yes, of course. Where he and his mom were helping his dad in the bathroom because he couldn't even walk anymore. He couldn't even walk anymore. That hit me hard. It's like they were so close, physically holding him, but still couldn't say the real stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
how scared they were about how much they would loved him. Um, Psychologically, it's like silence was their way of coping, but it built this wall between them. This like invisible wall, which they cannot see, but is there. It has built it. You would notice how families do hold it back because it feels safe more than being real.
Mm-hmm.
Like Nasi, are you aware of the attachment theory?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
So
guess.
it says our parents shape how we deal with emotions, and in this story, you feel the son carrying the weight, years of tiptoeing around the truth. He's stuck talking to memory now, saying stuff he couldn't say before. That one-sided monologue. It reminds, it's a reminder for people, for everyone. Don't let silence become all you've got left. It's very
Okay.
deep. Yep, I'm saying it
Mm-hmm.
again. It's very deep for people to understand this thing. Don't let silence become all you've got left. Say what you have
Mm-hmm.
in your heart to the people you want to. Say, I love you, say, I'm sorry, apologize, whatever you have in your mind. Do not keep it in your heart. to your parents, to your loved ones. That's all I'll say. Nessie, I would like you to take over.
Of course, and now you will be surprised a little bit, I guess, because I wanted to read a fragment of the story, just a passage. I have this story, and it won't be a quote. It will be much more. Okay.
Of course, I expect that from you.
But I want to make you feel again the same, and I want to just give a little bit for our listeners. Okay, this is from the story. Morning came and I left our house. I closed the doors and shutters darkness. I locked in the shadows. I rummaged in my pocket deep like yours, and with the keys that were yours and are still yours, and that you left us, I double locked the door of the backyard. I locked in the ground covered with leaves, and that fell for you. Okay, and there will be some space, and again, I drove fast, fleeing the street and the houses fast, unlike that ordered sleepless morning when they made us drive slowly. You with us for the last time, slowly suffering the plodding journey, and people behind us.
Yeah, I remember that.
And yes, back to this line, back to this, what you said, Peixoto's writing, as I presented a minute ago, often leans into the unspoken tensions, right? Unspoken tensions and love within families.
Yeah.
Okay, I know. I don't want to talk about his other book I read for the first time. The title is The Book, just The Book. It was very hard to get for me, this book, but I really wanted to read it. But what I can see in both the short story and the book, there is a recurring theme of things left unsaid, either due to emotional repression or cultural context or generational differences, right? Yeah, I believe that we need to communicate, but the bond between parents and children is often the string which you can't tangle. It's a silent act of unconditional love. We call it like that, unconditional love. And we don't have to articulate anything. It is, right? The love is between us. It happens. It's an invisible thread. And words are not enough.
No,
and not necessarily needed. That's what I think. Of course, communication is very, very, very important, but sometimes it's just the feeling, and you know that you have to go and visit your mother or father. You know that, you feel it, like there is some, I don't want to say duty. It's like you follow your heart, you follow your roots.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And also, it reminds me about the another field we can talk about when we interpret this story, about our cycle of life. I mentioned that, and parenthood as a mirror. So in the book, Peixoto portrays children growing up to mirror their parents, whether through migration, hard labor, or emotional struggle. It's about, book is about migration generally. So the narrator in You Died on Me also contemplates how his life has been shaped by his father's influence, right? Of course, I have maybe we can discuss this question. I would love to. Of course, how does Peixoto portray the cycle of nature, and can children, that's really struck me, can children ever truly break free from the emotional or cultural legacy of their parents.
Ah, God. Well, what do you think?
I think it's something what is hidden very deep, and we cannot break free from this emotional and cultural legacy.
Well,
What do you think?
your question about cycles and families cuts deep, but Meristeme Peixoto shows the son trapped in his dad's shadow, like he's living in a house he didn't build. Those trees, the vegetable patch, the one, they're not just things. They're his dad's life still shaping him in a way. You know, like in the cemetery when he says, I will build as you build. It's like he's swearing to keep his dad's legacy alive. Those things, the plants, the vegetable patch, the hen house, even if it weighs him down. This thing, this feeling, this weight, only those people can understand, those who have lost their loved ones. And I know you can understand it too.
Of course.
I'm so glad that you chose the story because I know it's hard for you, but you did. I really want to appreciate you for that, Nessie.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
When he says like, I will build as you build, it's like he's swearing to keep his dad's legacy alive, even if it weighs him down. Families are mirrors, aren't they, Nessie?
Yeah, they are.
You see your parents in everything you do, their habits, their cycles, but his dad's absence is everything and everywhere. I think Peixoto is saying you can try to carve your own path, but those roots, they're deep. They're so deep, and they don't let go easy at all.
Right. Exactly. So that's what I said. We cannot, even if we try, but I am sure that we cannot, even if we want so much. And sometimes we don't think about it. Like, I don't want to be like my mother. I don't want to be like my father. But eventually, you became. That's what I think.
You're a part
Maybe
of them.
not exactly the same.
You're
Yeah.
a part of them. So
Of course.
no matter how you slice it, you're like them.
Of course, and it's of course, we talk about the plot and everything what is in the story, but of course there is a poetics, right? Because it's about the language, like poetics of grief and affection. So first of all, Peixoto uses lyrical poetic language to convey both grief and tenderness. So this short story is filled with intimate reflection and symbolic images. For example, the act of dressing the body you mentioned, or the presence of the father in small details you mentioned as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a beautiful poetic language. That's why you should, dear listeners, read that story.
I would highly recommend to people, those who have a little bit of interest in literature, because like our podcast is mainly on giving knowledge to people about literature and all. So if you are one of those who are listening to us and you've stumbled upon our podcast episode, I would like you to go on the link and click on it and read the story yourself, then come back and listen to us. And do drop a comment. We'd really appreciate that. So the poetic grief, the poetic of grief and affection, right?
Yeah.
Like words in Meristeme are like a heartbeat, soft but heavy with feeling. Yeah. soft but heavy with feelings. The way he writes past his house, the trees, the sparrows, it's not just a setting. It's a map of the sun's grief. You know what I see? It's a map of
Yeah.
sun's grief. Every image like the enameled portrait on the gravestone of the faint drummer in his dad's voice faints this tender, aching picture of loss. The moment where his son carries the coffin, feeling his dad's weight one last time, one last time. It's so
Yes.
raw, like a goodbye he wasn't ready for. Well, what gets me is how Peixoto mixed grief with love. Did you notice? The
Yeah,
son's
of course I
pain.
do.
I know you do. The son's pain isn't loud, it's quite woven with memories of picking oranges or hearing his dad's voice. It's like a real grief. You lose someone, but you hold on to the love even tighter. You feel every word carrying both sorrow and heart.
Yeah, when you said like it's like a heartbeat. So this passage I read it again, like plodding journey and people behind us. You see?
Mhm.
People,
Yeah,
like heartbeat. I see that.
that's correct.
Wow. Thank you, Gerbster, for that.
You're
You
welcome,
hit
this
it.
year.
You hit it really. And I feel exactly the same about this story. Okay. Would you like to look with me at some literary references? Okay.
I've always up into literature. Let's go.
And of course, well, if we talk about fathers, I cannot help to think of great play written by Shakespeare. So
Mm-hmm.
there is, of course, there is King Lear. So the titular king tests his daughter's love through a cruel game of rhetoric. He asks, "Tell me how much you love me." And Goneril and Regan, the elder daughters, lace their lips with venomous flattery, while the youngest Cordelia refuses
Oh
to
my
welcome
god.
love as a spectacle. So Lear disowns her, the
Oh
one
my
who
god.
truly loves him, and hands power to the liars. And Shakespeare is asking, how do parents fail their children? How do children betray or uphold their lineage? Can love survive the corrosion of power? What do you think?
Like Lear's regress. Once a powerful patriarch, he descends into madness and
Oh,
emotional
yeah.
meltdown. On the heart in the storm, stripping of his titles, Lear cries not just as a king undone, but as a father rejected. His madness is a
Yeah.
tantrum to the soul of the souls.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one of the things like now he craves unconditional love, but he demands it through
Yeah.
conditional display. You see?
Oh my God. It's an absurd, right? Like you
I know.
crave unconditional love, but you demand conditional display throughout. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the play exposes the narcissism of parenting. Lear wants his daughters. Lear wants his daughters not as autonomous people, but as mirror reflecting his greatness. Like really?
Oh God. Mm-hmm.
Cordelia's silence is psychologically rebellious. Refusing to feed his ego, she risks exile to retain her authenticity. Like she didn't seal her lips. She stood
Hey,
firm.
okay. Do you remember what she says?
Yeah,
This
she
devi-
says,
this on
I
this
love
line. Yeah.
I love you, Majesty, according to my bond, nor less nor more. Cordelia's
Wow.
devastatingly honest lines in the crack that begins the avalanche.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
I think
big.
there is an irony, right?
Mm-hmm. Irony is like the loyal children, Cordelia Ager, suffers the most. The siphons, Granella and Regan Edmund thrives until eventual poetic justice. And it's blindless, clusters literal and metaphorical, madness and vision of nature order. Lear, as a mad king, becomes a prophet speaking truth of madness, especially about the failure of parenthood and cruelty of false love. That's
Okay.
it.
Yes. The failure of parenthood and the cruelty of false love. Do you remember when we have started reading Dostoevsky?
I do. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
For real?
Okay, so
This is not just
we
a
were,
story. Yeah.
yeah, we were taken aback by the style of building the story and creation of characters. You can say from the beginning we are getting familiar with the father's absence and excess. Fyodor Pavlovich Karamazov, the
Wonderful.
grotesque patriarch, is an embodiment of indulgence, cruelty, and negligence. He fathers 3 legitimate sons, Dmitry, Ivan, Alyosha, and likely an illegitimate one, Smerdyakov, but fulfills none of the moral duties of a father. And okay, attention, spoiler alert, his murder his murder and the mystery around it becomes a moral MRI of each son's soul. So Dostoevsky wrote, "He is the father, yet he is no father."
Dostoevsky. Being Dostoevsky. Let's go. This is not a story about love between parent and child. It's a story about what happens when that love fails to exist.
Exactly, yes. And from psychological point, it's about splintered sons, right? This perspective, we can say more about splintered sons. So there is Dmitry, Mitya. The essentially storm between hatred and yearning for his father's approval. Oedipal tension bursts in his desire for the same woman as his father. And we have also Ivan, the intellectual skeptic who cannot kill but fantasize about patricide. Yeah, his torment is psychological and philosophical. Especially, after his own arguments inspire Smerdyakov. Do you remember as well, like a lot of times there is a lot of conversations between Ivan and Smerdyakov, and we feel like this Ivan, he provokes Smerdyakov to something. So maybe that's why the murder was. Yeah. And the last one was Alyosha, the spiritual child. Yeah, Aloshka.
He was in church all the time. Yeah.
He represents the possibility of redemptive love, despite being born from corruption. Of course, Fyodor Pavlovich often calls him an angel, Aloshka. And we can notice how much he loves this almost saint character. Darkster.
Yeah, he does.
You can say, okay, you can say easily that Fyodor Pavlovich is a buffoon. And from the very first description, it's a Dostoevsky style to present characters in a detailed way. We know that. So we can say that we cannot like him. So Dostoevsky created that character. Drunk on his own vulgarity, he drifts through the novel like a bad dream in daylight. But nevertheless, he gave us a chance to understand his approach. It's much complex that it seems, right? We don't like him, but we try to understand why Fyodor Pavlovich is like that, why he is a buffoon.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, exactly. And the last thing about Smerdyakov, this bastard child, literally and emotionally discarded a twisted result of torrential absence. So he becomes the actual murderer shaped by being unwanted. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Being
Mm-hmm.
unwanted.
Unwanted. Yes, correct.
Yeah. I think there is some archetypes, Darkster, right?
Well,
In this
yeah,
novel.
before archetypes, I would like to tell our audience something. Mm, Dostoevsky, Two Brothers Karamazov is an peculiar book that everyone must read. I'm telling you guys, we will drop a link in the comments in the description for you for this book specifically, a PDF which you can go through. It needs determination to read, and if you build an interest, you will love it, believe me.
Yes,
And for
it's
people
1032 pages, as far as I remember.
exactly
Yes, what?
around 1300 pages, believe me, it's every page is worth it. Not
Of
every,
course.
but yeah, every page worth it for me though. And for people who don't know the meaning of buffoon, it's clown, like, a person who's a buffoon, a clown who's amusing. Well, coming back to archetypes, the novel is built on archetype of the father, both earthly and divine. Parricides functions as a metaphor for killing God, echoing Ivan's
Oh, yeah.
rejection of divine justice. The family isn't a safe haven, it's a theological battlefield.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and one of the few extravagant insights are in the Brothers Karamazov, Dostoevsky transforms the family into a courtroom. Every son is a witness, suspect, and a victim of their father's sins. So the novel asks, can a father's moral failure damn his children, or will one of them rise to save them all? What do you
Wow,
think,
yes,
Nestle?
that's the question for you, folks. That's the question for you. What do you think?
Mhm.
Can a
Yeah,
father's moral failure damn his children, or will one of them rise to save them all? I cannot wait to know your point of view, so drop the comment under the video. And we don't want to leave you only with the question. We have started with a touching and poetic story by José Luís Peixoto, so we want to
mhm,
end up with one of his poems. Let's go,
exactly.
Darkster.
Yep. The first stanza will be from me, and the second will be from you. And the poem name is Words for My Mother. Again, links in the
Of course,
description.
and we have a link as well, right? So we will drop the link under the
Yeah.
video to this poem.
Okay. The poem starts. Mom, I'm sorry. I always hoped you would understand the words I never said and the gestures I never made. Today, I know that I only waited, Mom, and waiting isn't enough. For the words I never said, for the gestures you so often asked of me, which I was never able to make. I want to ask you forgiveness, Mom. I know that I'm asking forgiveness isn't enough.
Sometimes I want to tell you so many things that I can't. The photograph where I am on your lap is the most beautiful photograph I have. I like it when you are happy. Read this. Mom, I love you. I know and you know that I can always pretend that I didn't write these words. Yes, Mom, I will pretend that I didn't write these words. And you will pretend that you didn't read them. We are like that, Mom. But I know. And you know.